After Wednesday night's conveyor belt of goals,
Shinyushiki makes it 5.
It is goal number 6.
MLS returned with a packed schedule of weekend action. We begin our review with the debut for the league's latest big-name signing.
Philadelphia.
The hosts, so far, unstoppable at home.
Dominating performance for Philadelphia Union.
The visitors wanting to build upon a first ever away win.
Into Miami, off to a flyer.
The Philadelphia Union and Inter Miami met at Subaru Park. Your commentators are Sam Parkin and Phil Blacker.
So Sergio Santos. He's done well to wriggle into a little bit of room. Might open up for the shot. Instead, Jamiro, blocked by the legs of Robles. Fontana having done well to find him. First real threat from Philadelphia. Into Miami having to piece this squad together from scratch. And now they've added maybe one of the main pieces of the jigsaw in Higuain, finding Agudelo. Pizarro picking up the pieces. Figal forward from fullback. Does have options in the middle. Oh! Well, the headlines were waiting to be written by Higuain with the overhead kick. It's a fraction away from a stunning story.
Brilliantly worked. Made his mind up. That's what he was going to go for. And just unfortunately, it's a yard the wrong side.
Shibilko trying to tee one up here for Anthony Fontana to open the scoring in some style.
Shibilko links the play brilliantly. That touch, the second one, sets it up, and he has got an absolute rocket in his right boot, and he just fizzes that into the near post.
Sergio Santos now, he's skipped into space, he's got a couple in the middle, takes the shot on himself. Robles equal to it. Still required a little bit of fortune with what followed. It's less than 2 months since Gonzalo Higuain was featuring in the Champions League. His last game for Juventus was in that competition against Lyon. Higuain is down, they take it quickly. Ben Sweat, the fullback here, was the furthest forward initially and goes for goal. Andre Blake just got enough on it to turn it wide. Well, he would have been an unlikely source of an equalising goal, Ben Sweat.
Ben Sweat does everything right. That is an unbelievable save.
There goes Brendan Aronson, making things happen. Always the sense of danger when he's on the ball in that part of the pitch. Now Shibilko to try and flash it in towards Ilsinho, who might just have secured the spoils with a second, having been on only a matter of minutes.
It's all about Aronson. What a brilliant driving run. That's really intelligent play as well from Jamiro, and the delivery, Shibilko, absolutely perfect. Ilsinho on the spot, probably his first touch since he's come onto the pitch, slides it in to give them their second.
Well, it was only partially cleared though. Ajoa trying to return it, and again they're appealing for a hand, I think. Should Miami have had a penalty? Jose Carlos Rivero is the VAR tonight, and the referee wants another look at something.
It's grazed his arm, hasn't it? It's incredibly harsh.
Yes, the referee's given it on review for the handball offence. This could be a game changer out of almost nothing. Big moment this, in the context of the contest. Higuain has blazed it over the bar. His big moment on his MLS debut. And he's fluffed his lines. And has plenty to say after the Union reaction there.
Yeah, and you can understand his annoyance. Slightly over-exuberant, big moment in the game, and maybe unjust that the penalty was awarded. maybe a little bit over the top.
Went back well by Brendan Aronson. Can he wrap it up here? He can! It's another really smartly taken finish. Well, he might well be on his way from MLS very shortly. The rising star is on the score sheet again, and deep into stoppage time. The third goal puts the 3 points beyond any doubt whatsoever. Comprehensive in the end, Philadelphia Union 3, Inter Miami 0.
Oh, I love it. I love the feeling. Even though there's no crowd, you still feel that energy. It was my first start since my debut in MLS, so you know there were some nerves before the game, but I'm happy.
Like Philadelphia, Toronto are in the Eastern Conference chasing pack behind leaders the Columbus Crew, who they welcomed to their temporary home in Connecticut. And some found the new surroundings a little tougher to adjust to than others. Pedro Santos' dangerous pass diverted into his own net by Chris Mavinga 5 minutes before half-time for the Crew's opener. But once TFC had got their own house in order, they flourished. Alejandro Pozuelo hooked the ball into Josie Altidor's direction, and he accurately dispatched an equaliser. And Altidore then started a move which nearly ended with a Pozuelo goal from similar range. The post, and then Jonathan Mensah's boot, the two barriers to a second for Toronto. It was inevitable, though, that another chance would come Pozuelo's way, and that he'd seize the opportunity when it did. Richie Larrea teed him up, and the Spaniard did the rest. This was the first time he'd scored in 3 consecutive league games in almost a decade. And that wasn't the only trend. Pozuelo had assisted the first goal and scored the second, and Larrea, having made the second, finished off Toronto's third. This really was all about the individual, though, as he danced through Columbus's defence before defying the angle to deliver an end product. Philadelphia are in East Hartford next, but Toronto are happily welcoming visitors now.
The New England Revolution have been quietly going about their business, well established in the playoff places, and they travel to strugglers DC United. And the home team looked bright in the first half. Geordie Rayner finding a good position on debut, but shooting straight at Matt Turner. The Revs woke up as the game went past the hour. A clever dummy from Gustavo Bo and a run and shot from Teal Bunbury. The forward frustrated that his effort flashed past the post rather than inside it. The decisive drama all came in the final 5 minutes as Christian Pinilla picked out Bo, and the Argentinian turned and arrowed home his second goal in 2 games. And then as the game ticked into its 90th minute and DC pushed for an equaliser, an exemplary counter-attack from the Revs, which ended with Pinilla finding Adam Buxa, who finished delicately for his first goal since mid-July, which was also against this opposition. A solid win for the Revs, more trouble for DC United.
FC Cincinnati were back at Red Bull Arena for the 3rd consecutive away game. Their most recent experience against Ronnie Dyler's NYCFC didn't end well, and their latest meeting started in a similar vein. Alexandru Matritsa's goal for the hosts after 30 seconds, the fastest scored in the club's history. But the value of that quick start was nearly lost by Keaton Parks' indecision. Frankie Amaya was alert, but thankfully for Parks, not accurate. The only goals that NYCFC had managed in their previous 4 matches were against Cincinnati, and they were flowing again at Red Bull Arena. Anton Tinnerholm scored in that game 2 weeks ago as well. History being made, as well as being repeated by the hosts. A lack of goals had been a problem for Jaap Stam's side too, and Sean Johnson's save from Jurgen Locardia's free kick suggested it could be one of those all too familiar nights. Particularly when NYCFC had their 3rd goal before half-time. Matritsa with time to choose the manner of his finish, and a comeback now almost certainly out of the question for the visitors. New York City, though, had spent the back end of the week digesting the news that striker Eber would miss the rest of the season after he tore his ACL in the midweek defeat to Toronto. Fellow forward Tati Castellanos close to having a goal of his own to dedicate to his fellow South American. But another stepped up instead. Paraguayan Jesus Medina scored a late fourth, albeit with a touch of fortune, as NYCFC recorded their biggest win of the season.
The following day at Red Bull Arena, it was a turn of the New York Red Bulls, who hosted a Montreal Impact side who've made their temporary home here and who are led by a Red Bulls legend in the shape of Thierry Henry. Henry's team went in front 4 minutes in, a stunning hit from Bojan for his first goal in nearly a year, which left David Jensen with no chance. The Red Bulls responded 10 minutes later, pressing to win back possession and creating the opportunity for Mandela Egbo to pick out Tom Barlow, who finished well for his first MLS goal since last September. Barlow struck again in less complicated style 10 minutes before half-time. Christian Cáceres with the driven cross, and Barlow there with a simple finish to make it 2-1 as the Red Bulls turned it round. And if there was any doubt about the outcome, that was soon extinguished by 2 second-half goals in 2 minutes by a combination of the same two players. First, Kaku for Daniel Royer, who turned cleverly and made it 3-1 with the help of a deflection. And then Royer drifting out wide and looking up to find Kaku, an outstanding finish to make it 4-1. The Paraguayan's first goal since the 1st of March, favour duly returned. And there was just time for salt to be rubbed into the wound. Lewis Binks had been booked in the first half, and when he hung out a lazy leg in the final minute of normal time, the referee had no option but to show him a second yellow. The Impact badly beaten for the 4th week in a row, and much to talk about in Montreal.
Both the Chicago Fire and Atlanta United ended lengthy winless runs in the week, so much-needed foundations were in place ahead of their meeting at Soldier Field, something Fabian Herbers quickly built upon for the hosts. Atlanta weren't shy in their pursuit of a swift equaliser. Adam Can stopped superbly by Bobby Shuttleworth's reactions. The craft and guile of the Fire's second goal, though, was an indication that confidence had returned home to the Windy City. Not that it had ever departed Robert Beric, who scored for the 4th game running. Herbers and Beric continued to wreak havoc. Only the legs of Brad Guzan denied the Slovenian a second after the restart. The Five Stripes will take some heart from a performance that may have come with points had it not been for Shuttleworth's fine display in the Chicago goal. But it's now 7 months since Stephen Glass's side last won away from Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
The Chicago Fire with a thumping 4-0 win over the Houston Dynamo.
Houston on the slide in the Western Conference.
Johnston's corner. Arriving in the back is Rios.
Moving in a different direction in the East, Nashville.
And Nashville SC win their 4th game of their inaugural season.
The next move critical at Nissan Stadium. Commentary comes from Matt Jackson and Dan Roebuck.
Here's an opportunity, and suddenly, oh, that's got to be a penalty. Well, that's a shocking challenge Lundqvist has come across. And that's Leal who's gone crashing to the ground.
Is there offside? It's going to be tight. I think it is offside that's been given, but that looks really tight.
That's a good-looking ball and a big opportunity here taken. Flag is up again. Rios says, surely not again.
It's tight again. Oh, you tell me which bit of him's offside at that point. Maybe the point of the left shoulder only.
Valentin looking for Lassiter, looking to run at Lovitz once again here. Still Lassiter can get the cross in. It's not completely away, and the flick is clever from Memo Rodriguez, but Willis was in the way.
He does really well. You don't expect him to be able to get enough pace on the little flick. That's a really good skill.
This is Jones'
chance.
Real opportunity now. Rios is with him. Here is Rios. Can he finish? This time the flag stays down. This time Nashville lead.
I did think that Derek Jones might just have overrun it. Takes what looks to be a touch that's too heavy late on in the move, but can just stab it across. It's a fine finish, and it's really set Houston back.
Anibaba, here is Johnson. Mukhtar inside the area, terrific save. What a stop from Marko Maric.
Lovely quick ball. It's a fantastic opportunity and a fantastic save.
Here's Figueroa. Lemoyne. Step over. Corner.
Time for those two big Warriors centre-halves to come to the fore here. Zimmerman, Romney, make sure one of you attacks that ball.
Out towards Quintero, who can take it down and chip it back in. Big chance taken! Figueroa, right place, right time for his second goal of the season to level things up for Tab Ramos' side, and it's Nashville 1, Houston 1.
Talk about that responsibility needed, not taking. The goalkeeper commits, gets himself in a horrible situation. Half a header. It's a lovely ball back in. Figueroa gambles. Houston probably deserve to be level on the first half display. They've been poor second half.
We were the better team the whole game. We looked to win the game from beginning to end, and that's one thing that we talked about today before we left to come here. It's like no matter what we do, we're going to be looking for a win from minute 1 to minute 90. And I can't ask for more because we did that.
It may not have a name or much of a history yet, but there's still a considerable Californian rivalry between LAFC and the San Jose Earthquakes, and they met at Bank of California Stadium with the home team threatening in typical style. Diego Rossi denied by JT Marcinkowski. Bob Bradley's team would grab a half-time lead, though. The final minute of the first 45, good left-sided hustle from Eddie Segura, a subtle touch by Bradley Wright-Phillips, and a good finish from Mark Anthony Kaye. LAFC should have made sure of a second win in a week when Kaye picked out Brian Rodriguez. His effort was a poor one, though, and easily saved by Marcinkowski. And moments after that, the game started to turn. 10 minutes left, and a wonderful run and finish from Shea Salinas to make it 1-1. Suddenly it was wide open, and San Jose were pushing for the win. Cade Cowell did well to find Christian Espinoza, who teed up Vaco. Pablo Cisniega with the save. But then, as we went into the final minute of the 4 added on, San Jose completed the comeback and stole the win. Espinoza for Jackson Ewell, who finished cleverly and gave the Quakes an away-from-home boost after 4 consecutive defeats. A come-from-behind win, a heartbreaking end for LAFC, and a disbelieving Bradley.
It's not looking particularly bright across LA either. The Galaxy's struggles capitalised upon within 12 minutes by Western Conference leaders, the Seattle Sounders. Christian Roldan providing the final touch to Jordan Morris's inviting pass. And the man who made the first then scored the second with a similarly powerful run. Not even his teammates could keep up with him this time, as Seattle doubled their lead before half-time. The last time the LA Galaxy scored was 3 weeks ago in their El Tráfico win. And goals just aren't flowing as frequently as Chicharito would like since his move to MLS earlier this year. It's not an issue the Sounders are experiencing. Roldan cleverly lifted in their 13th goal in 4 league matches just after the hour. Chicharito could do with a dose of that confidence. The offside flag was his saving grace after another chance to score his second goal for the Galaxy went begging. There was some long overdue joy late on though for the home side. Sebastian Leget's delicate header was never going to be more than a consolation with 3 minutes to go. The Galaxy play the San Jose Earthquakes next, the only team now below them in the West. Their fragile nature was almost given a further examination in stoppage time by Morris. But they've got enough to ponder this week already.
Portland's midweek win against Seattle had moved them level on points at the top of the West prior to the weekend, and they faced an away game in the comfort of their own home, Providence Park, the temporary home of Vancouver. Portland went in front 5 minutes in, Felipe Mora with the perfect headed contact. 2 minutes later, the Caps came desperately close to levelling. Andy Rose steering his header onto the base of a post. Portland had won their last two and had that early lead, but all of the pressure here came from the home team. This time it was Ali Adnan's cross and Freddie Montero's header. Steve Clark with the save. And there'd be more from Vancouver, with nothing to ultimately show for it. Christian Dahome with a skidding cross that Lucas Cavallini seemed certain to score from, but he dived and headed wide. A missed chance for him and for the Whitecaps as Portland held on.
This was an emotional occasion for Oscar Pereira. The Colombian had spent many years with FC Dallas as both a player and a coach, but this was the first time he'd returned since taking over at Orlando. Santiago Mosquera was one of Pereira's final signings at Dallas, but Pedro Galice stopped him from scoring the game's opening goal. Pereira's impact at Orlando has been impressive, but their 7-game unbeaten run was being tested in the first half in Frisco. Brian Acosta's inventiveness was almost rewarded, but the visitors did offer more of a threat after half-time. Nani's bouncing shot gave Jimmy Maurer something to deal with in the Dallas goal. But their attacking intent was checked soon after, following Jegson Mendez's second yellow card within the space of 5 minutes. An untidy lunge on Brian Reynolds left Orlando with 21 minutes to survive with depleted numbers. But survive they did. Rodrigo Schlegel used his body in the right way to brilliantly block Michael Barrios' late chance as Dallas were denied a 4th straight win at Toyota Stadium.
To our final game, and even though the scoreline suggested otherwise, Minnesota and Real Salt Lake provided plenty of entertainment after a quiet first half. Emmanuel Reynoso has yet to score an MLS goal, but seems to be coming close with increasing regularity. Andrew Putner at his best to keep him out here. The Loons kept pressing and Reynoso kept trying. Through on goal, albeit at an angle, and Putner doing well to guard his near post and read Reynoso's intent. RSL started to push forward themselves and came agonisingly close after a scramble. Justin Merrim's cross, Albert Rushnak denied, and then Douglas Martinez slicing his shot wide. Minnesota looked the likelier winner, and Reynoso the likeliest scorer. His free kick turned over acrobatically by his nemesis Putner. And as the game headed into its final 3 minutes, Minnesota had one last chance. Reynoso's corner headed onto the post by Bakaye Dibasi. 0-0 it finished, but very, very watchable.
So Minnesota climb a place in the West to 6th with that draw, whereas RSL remain just above the playoff line in 8th. The top two, Cascadia rivals Seattle and Portland, are both locked on 24 points.
Columbus's lead at the top of the East is down to 2 as Philadelphia and Toronto close the gap, while Chicago move out of the bottom 4 places at Atlanta's expense, with DC United still rock bottom.
From a start to forget,
Higuain has fluffed his lines.
To a finish to remember, we leave you with that late turnaround in LA for the San Jose Earthquakes.
Oh, wow! Go, San Jose! Jackson Ewell!
This copyrighted broadcast of Major League Soccer may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of Major League Soccer.